Welcome to a somewhat later stream than usual. Nope. I don't know. This is the problem when it's really sunny. I can't see the screen that well. So someone just said, I think, good morning. So good morning to you, whoever that was. I can't see you. You've gone now. But yes, good morning to you, one and all. Welcome to, well, the Good Morning Walk on what is an absolutely cracking bank holiday weekend. Yes, like I say, I've got my own plans this weekend, so we're going to be having sort of all fun and frolics this weekend. There's a food festival going on, so I'm looking forward to having a trip off there, which is going to be quite fun. I'm definitely going to go enjoy that. Oh, here we go. Prispilba and Somalia. Hiya, Omanta morning. Hopefully I've said that right. But anyway, yes, good morning to you. My two people. Good morning to all people joining us. Like I say, as always, tis a bit of a later start than normal because again, tis a bank holiday weekend, and of course, Friday and today are sort of the traditional days we in the UK like to go and, well, have a drink. So so a bit of a later start than usual, but still, you know, as good and as raring to go as always. But yes, as you can see, absolutely glorious weather today. I've even only it's t-shirt weather. It's t-shirt weather, as they say. But yes, good morning, and of course, we can now stop wondering and guessing who was the naughty Tory, because we found out yesterday. Turns out it's one Neil Parish. And oh my, if you've heard his excuse, you know, he got caught watching a bit of Blue in Parliament, of all places. You know, when I think of places, you know, you might sort of, you know, watch a bit of Blue. It's not like, you know, the House of Parliament would probably be, or at least the House of Commons would be, you know, my first choice. Oh, RC, hello to you. But needless to say, his excuse will certainly go down as one of the best. You know, he came out having sort of been caught and first pony of the day. You know, he came out having been caught, or at least being called out for it. And his wonderful excuse, yep, looks sunny up north. It is indeed very sunny up north. It's going to be absolutely cracking day today. Like I say, I can see your comments, but I can't see your names, which is really annoying when it's really sunny. So if I do miss reading your names or I miss any of your, or you know, at least I can't, you know, see your names, I do apologise. But again, it's just unfortunately, it's absolutely glorious weather we're having today. Like I say, I'm looking at the screen and I can just see myself on the screen. So you'll have to excuse me if I miss any of your comments or anything like that. But yes, good morning to everyone else joining us. Like I say, we're just kicking off the walk with our talk about Neil Parish. But of course, I know the reason why you're all really here, all is secretly here. It's for these guys, as always. He's busy having breakfast. We'll leave him to it. We'll leave him to it. Uh, is it still muddy or is it all dried up? Yeah, it's actually looks like it's all dried up, although it might be still a bit muddy on the path. Prinny Birds, greetings to you. Phil Watson, hi from Halifax, go to you. Catho G, good morning to you. Prentice Paul, good morning to you. Alexander Campbell, yes, it is very sunny up north. Susan Nicol, good morning to you. Pretty Bird Ponies, yes. But yeah, his excuse, if you haven't heard it, was I opened it by accident. Which certainly goes down very well with the Little Britain meme. You know, I was in the House of Parliament merely scrolling through my phone when I accidentally happened to open a particular rude website. You just can't make it up. You really just can't make up that kind of excuse. You know, you got caught, just own up to it and resign. And everyone's, or even all the Tory party are going, yeah, you should probably resign now because you're making us look even worse. And of course, as far as we know, at least at this moment, at least doing this, he still hasn't resigned. So yeah, go figure on that. Oh, Alexander Campbell. After the, there we go. After the laws jeopardising the election commission passing through Parliament, can we put to bed the idea Brexiters value democracy? Yes. Yes, indeed, we can put that idea. We can put the whole idea that the entire Tory party values any sort of democracy. Catho, I hear the impending Brexit-related checks could be a disaster. Yes, they could, and they will, which is kind of funny. Because do you know who actually said that they would be a disaster? It wasn't a Remainer. It wasn't one of these accursed experts that Michael Gove has said that the country has clearly had enough of. No, the person who said that these Brexit checks would be disastrous was not only a Brexiteer, but one of the biggies. It was Jacob Rees-Mogg. You know, think about this. This is a committed, hardcore Brexiteer saying that Brexit isn't going to work. You know, I really am at a loss for words. I really am. I mean, what more can you say about that? What more can you say? And it gets even worse. Because you might have heard very recently that the ports are planning to sue the government. So why are they planning to sue the government? They spent over £200 million of public money to build all this infrastructure, to hire all the staff that they would need to do these checks. And now they're being told they're being pushed back a year. And some of you may remember last time this happened, I said they were probably going to be pushed back again. And yeah, I've turned out to be right on that. Because the second you implement these checks, trade just becomes even more harder. And you start to bring up even more problems. And you just can't, you literally just can't make this up anymore. You really just can't. RC, Parish's explanation is aimed at the 15 to 20% of voters who always give Tory the benefit of the doubt. It's very true. Alexander Campbell, I wonder how long the porno parliament looked at the image before he clicked off it. I wonder how we can take any witness statements. Oh, Jake Link, when will good morning walks be outlawed? Who knows? Who knows? They can try, but they can never stop us rambling free. But yeah, this is, you know, I'm lost for words. I really am, because what more can we say that we haven't said? I don't know how many times on this very route that we are on now. How many times have I passed that tree there and said Brexit does not work? Or one of the crazy things that has been brought up again about Brexit is not going to work. Because the other thing that Jacob Rees-Mogg has at least tried to, revitalise is the idea of a digital border, because that was one of the other things that they announced this week as well. Again, we're expecting a white paper on that in the autumn at some point, although given the fact that we've explained before how a digital border just cannot work, I'm not expecting a lot. So for those of you who might not know this, the whole idea of a digital border is an absolute non-starter, purely for the fact you need a hard physical checks. You need that physical input at a border. It is the one thing that you cannot just digitize. Because if I'm a smuggler and I want to smuggle something right now into the UK, and there was this digital border in place, this is all I'd have to do. I'd go onto the system, go, I have this amount of legal goods that I'm bringing in when I'm being a very naughty boy, and saying that, I'm bringing in, I don't know, whatever, pick your, illegal substance of choice that I would be bringing in. And essentially, all I do is just lie to the system, and there's no physical checks. Who knows what I've just brought into the country? That's the why a digital border is just a complete non-starter, and it gets even worse because of the absolutely ludicrous ideas that the Brexiteers have had over this. Right now, you could be a smuggler and smuggle all sorts of stuff into the UK from the EU. You could say you've got an empty load coming in from the EU and not even be checked. Because, again, we know that there are going to be no checks for about a year now. And if you do get asked to be checked, then guess what? Because of there's no infrastructure at these ports, no one's going to check you when you roll off. The checking infrastructure's all inland. So, again, we'd roll off the ferry, we'd get flagged up saying we're going to be checked, but not at the port because they don't have time to do that, because that could cause problems. You think the tailbacks in Kent are a problem? Wait until they start checking stuff rolling off from the ferries, and they're causing ferries to be delayed. And then there's a block in the English Channel, one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world. Sometimes I just feel like I'm, reading a nonsense novel. I really do. and it's just difficult to even describe sometimes the stuff that comes out about Brexit. But again, going back to our theories of, you know, what is probably happening right now in the UK. So you'd come, roll off, told you're going to be checked, but you're not checked at the port. You're told you need to go to this destination inland. And quite frankly, between whatever happens, whatever could possibly happen between you leaving the port and arriving at that checking station, who knows what could, shall we say, just fall off the back of your truck or lorry in that time, in that period. You know? I'm at a loss for words. I really am. I really am at a loss for words. Let's see what you guys have been saying. Da, 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 da. Here we are. Who you got on Monday, Warriors or Grizzlies? Right-wing press doubling down on Beergate, trying to smear Labour. Yeah, but it's not working because, again, we weren't in lockdown rules at that point. You know? So it's been an absolute non-starter. P-Dots, good morning to you. So that t-shirt must be warm there. Greetings from Finland. Will we see ponies? We've already seen some. Hopefully we'll see some further around. But we'll keep an eye out for them. J King. Albania corn block weapons from Corsica. Yes. I'll see. We now officially live in a dictatorship. The Tory-owned Electoral Commission citizens take away any form of that. Has a foreign grandparent, a concentration camp owned in Rwanda. Very true. UK customs policy equals drug dealers' paradise. Yes, it does. Exactly. Feel like a Coolio song coming on. Very true. Next election, if it happens, is our final chance of freedom. Very true. But it's when the next election might be. Because with Boris now stripped away the Fixed Term Parliament Act, he can officially call an election whenever he wants. Rees-Mogg admission ought to have sparked a civil war, but few seem to actually care. Yeah, because again, he's a Brexiteer, so unfortunately, many of the Brexit supporters do believe very deeply what the Brexiteers do believe. The Electoral Commission still super depressing. I mean, seriously, yeah, it is. This apparently Rees-Mogg's drive to get workers back into the office haven't prevented some from munching porn in the workplace. Very true. Very true. Morning. Will be a democracy in name only. There will always be elections. Oh, hang on, there we go. Skirt around there. avoid the holes. But they'll always be rigged in such a way to ensure the Tories always win, just like what Putin does with Russia. Potentially, but at that point, I think there would be a serious reaction, because most of what most of what the Tories, the radical, shall we say, right in the Tory party is what has been very much behind that push. And even there's a lot of moderate Tories who are outside of the party who are very, very upset at them doing this. Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. Does this mean Bojo can name himself president for life? No. No, he couldn't do that. So far, we've had a lobbying scandal, Partygate, Line PM, a porno MP. Should we be taking bets on the next Tory scandal? Probably you could create a poll on what the next Tory scandal would be. You could at this point do that very easily. Anyway, here are upset the Privy Patel can have their passport taken away from them and sent to Rwanda. Yep. That's very true. She can do that, which is really unfortunate. In fact, did you hear about there was a boy in a hospital and he accidentally got labelled, that he was from Nigeria. Oh no, there we go. Hopefully we're not having any problems. Anyway, we're back. Are we back? Are we back? I think we're back. Excellent. We're back. So yeah, one of the stories that didn't get a lot of attention this week was that of a very young boy who was in hospital. There we go. But he was a mute, so obviously he couldn't speak, and he gets labelled on accident that he's from Nigeria. And of course, he then goes missing, and his parents are like, "Where is he? Where's our boy? He was in the hospital. He was, what happened to him?" He turns up 3 weeks later. Turns out he was sent to a detention facility and was about to be deported. This is what we've talked about before about the hostile environment that was, created by Theresa May. This is unfortunately the kind of things that happen under this, because the Tory party has become, especially since the UKIP infiltration, has become so worried about immigration that they will push anything as hard as they possibly can to make sure that immigration doesn't happen. But not only have we had a very couple of interesting articles this week, we even had, the Express try to justify the fact that because of that it was a good thing that there's been an increase in non-EU migration. The Express, the Daily Express of all places, ran an article saying that it was a good thing that there has been a massive increase in non-EU migration. And the comments were something to read, because they've been, priming their audience for years to hate any form of immigrant, of person, whether they be a legal immigrant, whether they be seeking asylum, whether they were, a victim of people smugglers. They don't care. And the comments were something to behold. And then, of course, you also had Boris's trip to India last week, about how one of the things that Boris wanted was, or at least Modi said, he wanted an increase in visas and, immigration stuff given to, Indians who might, emigrate or go to the UK. Once again, the Brexiteers and the hard right core not happy about that. And as we've said before, you need immigration. Like it or not, we need it. And of course, many of the problems that people blame for immigration, whether it be housing, lack of jobs, anything like that, that's not an immigration problem. That's a government problem, for not actually doing anything about it for years. Um, immigration is not something to worry about. It really never is. But yeah, it's going to be fun now seeing how should we say, the right wing in particular deals with this increased this non-EU immigration after all of these years of them pumping in, all this anti-immigrant rhetoric. And then they're shocked that they have such a reaction when they try to publish a favourable story about non-EU immigration on the rise. I say I'm shocked, but I'm really not. So yeah, it's been an interesting week, to say the least. But as always, we have to think positively about this, because like I say, we've got the local elections coming up, and from all intents and purposes, we are seeing areas that are meant to be these bastions of Tory loyalty, and the door knockers going round are turning around and just saying we're losing faith in the Tory party, not just because of Johnson anymore. They are now losing faith. So interesting. Link. I think if you go search for it on Google, you should be able to find it. Home county's about to go red/yellow. Very true. And it's not just there. There was a story this week about a really blue council in, I think it's London, or at least outer London, I think it is. Is it Warmsworth? I think it's called Warmsworth or Wadworth or something like that. And all their door knockers, all the people who are trying to canvass and campaign for the Tories, are all getting the same thing. It's not just Boris, it's the party that they no longer want to vote for, which becomes ever more interesting by the day. Because if there's one thing, oh, good morning to Ben, good morning to Wadsworth, yeah, that's it. So if there's one thing that I've always talked about when it comes to elections, is how the people of the UK vote. Because I always bring this up. Whenever you look at when people say, what are you? Are you a left? Are you a right? Or are you somewhere in the centre? And time again, it's 25% right, 25% on the left, and a massive 30 to 35% again. It very much depends on like I say, the different polls that I've seen about 3, and one that was 35, there was one that was 33, and one that was a 30 of centrists. You have to excuse me, because I don't know why I don't know if you can see them buzzing about. There's flies everywhere and they just keep on hitting me in the face. So, and one of the things, especially about the right, not only here in the UK, but elsewhere, they are very, very good at mobilizing their base, of getting them out to vote. Someone who is right wing doesn't really care, about Boris Johnson. They care about being in power, which arguably is really the important thing. Obviously, you can't do anything if you're not in power. So to them, or at least some people next election, they will not care about Boris Johnson, or at least in theory they shouldn't, because we've seen this before. This is what the right wing tends to do. They coalesce around really bad leaders, regardless, because it's, the right, and they get out and they mobilize themselves to vote. But for the first time ever in the UK, we are seeing a political phenomenon happen. Of they're saying, we're not going to not only not vote for Boris, we're not even going to go and vote for the Tories, which is a first, which is a massive first, which indicates huge goals and possible gains, not only for Labour, but also for the Lib Dems as well. So I'm expecting on the 5th to see massive gains in some really hardcore blue areas. And if the rumours are true that we've got like an 800-seat local council wipeout, that pretty much almost effectively could wipe off like the Tories off the local election map completely and utterly. Be insane. So anyway, Ben, off topic. Getting more than a little sick of Russia threatening nuclear weapons in a smug, bullying way, and that they would, pardon my French, F off. Very true. Yeah, it's concerning, but this is the tactic that Russia is desperately trying to do. And we've got to ensure that they lose, because it becomes more and more worrying by the day, because we've had Lavrov, like Putin's number 2, come out and say that he wants to split up Ukraine into like 7 different countries, which is really worrying. So there's that. There's also obviously the issue we've had recently with Moldova and Transnistria, thinking that was all going to kick off as well. I'm glad that we're supplying them more and more with weaponry and stuff like that. That's good, and especially more heavy weaponry as well. That is good, but we can always do more in ways of support. And unfortunately, Boris Johnson, I don't know if you saw that in India, Boris gave the game away. Told basically international secrets. So, thanks, Boris, that the British Army had been training Ukrainian soldiers in Poland. I'm sorry, what a dipshit. what an absolute dipshit. Yeah. It boggles beyond the belief. It really does. Really, really does. But yeah, like I say, as always, we've got to hope that Ukraine can win, and that at least they can, push Russia back, or at least hold them to a point where Putin just gives up, or something else, shall we say, happens, like maybe an internal coup, or the Russian people finally get fed up of him and try and, give him the off, as they say. But yes, that's as always, continuing news, continuing developments, as always. Oh, Colin, good morning to you. I hope someone gives Putin a thermonuclear suppository. I do not think the nukes even still work. After all, their air defense and tanks don't. Very true. Very true. Oxfordshire and Cambridgeshire becoming no Tory zones. The Cotswolds going to be red, yellow too. North Bucks and South Bucks also moving to the Lib Dems. Very true. So, oh, Jane, good morning. Best wishes from Northampton. Good morning to you. Russia's just acting like a wounded gangster. Very true. That is actually that's a good analogy of them, how they're acting. That is true. Can't disagree with that. But yeah, that's off back to our main topic, because a bit of a sideline there. Thanks, Ben. Yep, Amersham and Chesham was not a one-off. That's the key big thing. Because if that happens, we go into completely unknown territory. Because remember, in Tory HQ, the nightmare scenario, and we've talked about this before, is if the Tories completely collapse in, the south and lose their blue wall, and also Labour retakes their red wall. That's why Wakefield is so important, because generally, if somehow Boris manages to survive, let's say even if the the local elections go absolutely not in Boris's favour, let's say it's not like an 800 seat loss, but maybe it's like a 5 or a 400 loss. It's still a significant loss, and Boris still decides to stay. If Labour retakes Wakefield, I cannot see how he stays. I cannot see how he stays at all. Labour is pouring a lot of effort, because that is going to set the rhythm and the tempo for Labour retaking the rest of those seats in the red wall. And that is really, really important to do that. Yeah, hopefully Labour goes back to Wakefield. Very true. Like I say, I did that video last week of how Wakefield's been doing. So that's the interesting thing to watch over what happens here. And I keep on looking up and seeing local news stories of councillors refusing to run or standing down in that case because of it. And also, interestingly enough, we've obviously talked before about how PR would be good for obviously national elections and reforming the House of Commons and House of Lords. But there is now a conversation starting about, should PR be taken to a local election level as well, which will be quite interesting, because there was a local council last night with a coalition support from the Lib Dems and Labour to support moving their local council elections to a PR system, which would be quite interesting. Because, as we've said before, a general election, if a coalition happens, if one happens, then one of the things where they can unite around is the idea of electoral reform, changing us from a first past the post system to a, proportional representative one. That's what we want to see. And for those of you wanting more ponies this morning, Oh, Jay, hey, hi there. Hello to you. Ziv, after 12 years of abuse from the Tory party, people still vote for them. Is there any hope for this country? Yes, there is. There is always hope, my friend. Because here's the thing, the Tories managed to get away with being so bad because at the time, and not a lot of people are going to like me saying this, but because Labour was so bad as well. And remember, what's you? He's trying to munch on me. He's trying to have a munch on me. There you go. Anyway, he's trying to have a munch on me. I'll just move on. But yeah, where was I? Yes, look, I liked Corbyn. I really, really did. But he had his problems. We cannot deny that. And that is one of the things that really does worry me, is that a lot of people took the good ideas from, like, you know, Corbynism and Momentum, and then haven't really abandoned the fact that you shouldn't tie these types of movements to just one single person, and that movements like this have to survive them and to be able to move forward and to progress. That's where we fell down really with Corbyn. And also, Corbyn, while he had good policies, he was not a good leader. Let's get that straight fact straight away. He was not a good leader. And at times, yes, there were times you could see he gave out a good speech, but he wasn't a consistent campaigner. And that is something, all those people who are in, you know, Momentum or Corbynites or anything like that, you have to be able to see the bad and be able to take out the bad or change it and make it better for next time. Because here's the thing, I would be fine if Momentum were to put forward someone again at maybe, let's say, I don't know, something bad happens to Starmer and we change elections. We have another election for a Labour Party leader, and Momentum puts forward someone like Rebecca Long-Bailey, although she's not in Parliament anymore. But let's say she got forward and she got there and she won. She was someone who, prior to that leadership election, I did not have a very favourable opinion of her. She had at times done TV interviews and appearances, and she came off very, very bad. But during that leadership election, she really showed some serious potential and serious progress. And she could be, who knows, maybe one day, a good leader of Labour. But to be honest, at the moment, we've got Angela Rayner doing really good sterling work, and we've got Shadow Chancellor Rachel Reeves, that's her name. We've got Rachel Reeves also doing really, really good work, putting forward some good stuff. So, as always, I'm really sort of excited about some of these leaders. You've got Andy Burnham as well. Definitely, with all the stuff Andy Burnham's been saying, when he sort of returns from, or at least finishes his run as, the Mayor of Manchester, when he sort of returns to the Labour Party, I expect him to take a very, very big role in national politics. I think he will definitely show his mantle, and show off that he can be, you know, a good potential future leader for, you know, Labour as well. So we've got a lot of potential there, sitting on the Labour benches. So we have to, you know, take that and run with it. But it's not just that as well. It's being able to have, you know, good policies. We've got some good policies out there at the moment. The whole green policy. If we can get PR on board as well, that will be fantastic. We've got to get some really good solutions going on for, like, the cost of living crisis, the energy crisis. That would be fantastic as well. But of course, as we've said before, currently we are under a first past the post system. I don't like it. Many of you in chat, I know, don't like it, but that's the system we currently play under. And as I've said before, when we talk about this, you can't play Monopoly with the rules of Clue. You've got to play by Monopoly rules. Sucks, I know, but that's how we've got to play it. And that means that the Labour Party has to be a big tent party. You can't just fraction off and say, I'm not going to vote for Labour because of Keir Starmer. That doesn't cut the mustard. You know, you've got to vote for Labour to get the Tories out, or Lib Dems, depending where you are. So we've got to really, you know, get it on and sort of get it done. And it can be done, but we've really got to take that push forward with it. Hang on, Jay's Aston. Totally disagree with you regarding Jezza. Everyone forgets about the election prior to the last one. If it wasn't because of the DUP, we would have won. Very true, but we didn't win. And unfortunately, in politics, there's no prizes for coming second. If you come second, you've lost. Under our system, it's winner take all. And Labour has to win to take it all. So while I do agree, Labour had some really good momentum at that election, we didn't win. It sucks, but we didn't win. And like I say, in politics, there's no prizes for coming second. So, you know, as always, you know, we've got to win. We've got to take that mindset. We've got to take it forward. We've got to win. And yes, we got a lot of young people voting for the first time, which was fantastic. And there was that energy built up again, which was fantastic. But what happened? On the left in Labour, and in most of the other places around the world, the left is very, very fragmented. So the problem was that while we got more people on the left voting and young people voting as well, we scared off that centrist support. And if Corbyn had done something to appeal to those centrists, he would have won. But the problem was he didn't seem to understand that Labour was a big tent party. And as much as I would love to see Britain move towards more a socialist system and under that direction, there was a lot of people in the party, Corbyn in particular, pushing for the idea that we could go from naught to socialist in 60 seconds. And unfortunately, that scared a lot of a lot of centrists. You know, the idea of nationalisation is difficult. It's difficult to sell to people. I know Momentum is pushing for, the renationalisation of energy in the UK. That's not popular. If they want to make it popular, then they've got to go out to the people and start explaining why renationalising our energy grid is a good idea, and start to make that argument and convince people. That's what they need to start doing. But the one thing, ideally, that could be a good win for them is proving that nationalisation works, because that's the big Tory pushback. Oh, nationalisation doesn't work. Completely wrong. Other countries have really good nationalised systems or stuff in their countries. We can have that as well. And the number one thing that a lot of people want to really renationalise is the rail network. So if Momentum really wants to prove that nationalisation can rework, put forward a really good plan for the renationalisation of the rail network. Prove that it can work, and then you can spread out from there. Yeah, how can Labour be a big tent party when Starmer and Mandelson are eliminating the left? Teaching Corbyn what he should have done, eliminated his opposition. Thing is, though, you can't. There we go. Thing is, though, you can't just go out and eliminate your opposition. I agree. I think that's going to come to bite to back Starmer and Mandelson. I really think that is. I really think that's going to come back to bite them and haunt them one day. But we need to be a big tent party, you know? And Corbyn misunderstood that as well. You know, he didn't sort of reach out and say to them, you know, he didn't compromise, maybe a bit pragmatic, maybe saying, well, we've got this really good progressive idea. I know you're not really hot on the idea, but what could make you vote for it? And as I've said before, sometimes in politics, you've got to compromise, you've got to be pragmatic. You might not get 100% of what you want, but if you get 50%, 30%, that's progress. And even if Corbyn had sort of done and changed some of this stuff and got it through, and let's say he'd won that election and got it through, then there's even more good arguments for pushing that policy further left if it works and it becomes popular. You know, there's a lot of people on the left who really do not understand or really want to engage with politics, and it annoys the heck out of me. In Scotland, vote SNP. In North England, Midlands, vote Labour. In Wales, vote Labour. In town, Labour in town. Plaid in the south side. In the south, vote Labour. In the big towns, vote Lib Dems. And in the countryside, not in all the towns, I must say, vote Lib Dem. Lib Dem. I think that will very much be a split. I think we'll have to see. It wasn't Corbyn's policies who scared voters off. It was him. It was a bit of both. It really was a bit of both, unfortunately. Did Corbyn not have advisors? He did have advisors, but they were all very, very much from the left. All these very, very big socialists who thought that they could, like I say, push the UK from being, well, not to socialist in 60 seconds. And they went, you know, they went wrong. And I think a lot of people really need to learn from that, because they seem to think that after Corbyn has gone and all this stuff, that was it. We can never have, you know, another, you know, lefty leader. You can have another lefty leader. You've proven that you can do it once before. So why not do it again? You know, just do things different. Look at what you did wrong. Look at how you can reach more out to the centre, and look at how you can change things. You know, it is possible to do. And I'm a big advocate of like really good progressive policies here in the UK. You know, I talk about them all the time here on, you know, on doing these and you know, on my channel. But it's being able to sell those policies as well, why these policies are good, and having a, you know, setting out a good story. You know, I'll say this now, Boris Johnson is a good storyteller, and that gives him a lot of favourable credibility when it goes to coming out to the voters during election time. Yeah, policies in 2017 and 2019 were popular, but Corbyn wasn't. Very true. Nationalism is the best way for Labour to play the patriot card and take these companies off the foreign owners and back the British people. Possibly very true. I'll have to see. Are the British intelligent enough not to actually run a nationalist anything anymore? Nope. Hello. Do you think I've got something for you? No. Unfortunately, no. Not today, Pony. Nationalisation is very popular. Depends what it is nationalising. You can say nationalisation is popular, but what is exactly are you nationalising? That's the big question. That's where a lot of people disagree. That's where the split comes in. The nature of British politics means both Labour and the Conservative parties are broad churches, so to speak. Yep. There you go. I haven't got anything for you, my friend. Ah! What? I haven't got anything for you. Calm down. I haven't got anything for you. don't know why you're following me. I say, I haven't got anything for you, boy. He's following me. He thinks I've got something for him. I haven't got anything for you. So, yeah, that was bizarre. This is why you don't feed animals. Anyway. Oh, Cathergy. Towards a figurine. Have a great long weekend, all. Yes, good morning. Although, before we go, you can see. Can you see? Yes, you can. There you can. Baby pony. Tiny baby pony. Yes, thank you very much, Cathergy. Thank you very much. But yes, that's what the sort of, there needs to be a real better understanding and, you know, how politics works, because sometimes you're not going to get everything you want in politics. You know, you're never ever going to find a leader or anything like that that, you know, agrees with you. Oh, there we go. 100%. But, you know, you vote for the things that you like, you know? So even if Labour or Lib Dems, you don't sort of fully agree with them all, it's how you do it. There we are. So yes, coming up to the end of our good morning walk as always. So, as always, I would love to give everyone a big, absolutely wonderful thank you once again for joining me this morning. Like I say, we're a bit later than we normally were. Again, bank holiday weekend and all. You know, all that stuff. But as always, thank you very much for joining me on today's Good Morning Walk. Hopefully we'll see you. Will you see me next weekend? That's a good point. You might not see me next weekend because I might not be here. So yeah, there might not be a Good Morning Walk next week. Maybe. I don't know. I'll have to see. It might be a bit later in the day. It might be a Sunday Good Morning Walk. We'll have to see. But as always, yes, thank you once again, one and all, for joining me. Like I say, please do remember to hit that like and share button on your way out. And of course, if you are new to the channel and you're watching this for the first time and you think, wow, what an absolute, you know, corker of a good morning walk this morning, hit that subscribe button. Ooh, pardon me. And of course, to everyone else, have an absolutely gorgeous, cracking bank holiday weekend if you are out in the UK. It looks like it's going to be absolutely cracking weather for it. So as always, thank you very much for joining me today. As always, if you can't be safe, be sensible, and we'll see you all next time.